starting with the methods of economics. So what is a method? So it is a technique, procedure which is used by economists in construction and verification of the economic principles. So the methods which they use to formulate and verify the economic principles are the methods of economics. So we have two primary methods, that is the inductive method and the deductive method. So the deductive method is also called analytical, abstract, or the priori method, and the inductive method is called the historical, empirical, or the posteriori method. So the deductive method is used by economists who are belonging to the classical school, while inductive method is used by those belonging to the historical school. So classical school ones are Noisius, Senior, J.S., Mill, Ricciardi, and Kyrus, while historical schools are Rothschild, Hildebrand, Frederick, List. So what are the steps of the deductive method? So first step is observation and exploration of the problem. So at first the economist must observe and explore the significant problem by observing the actual world. So they have to look into the actual world. And the second step is setting up of the hypothesis from assumptions. So we've already seen in the deductive science. So something from assumptions, you have to bring up some theory. So here we can see that setting up of the hypothesis from assumptions. So on the basis of the suitably chosen set of assumptions, hypothesis may be formulated. So what is a hypothesis? So hypothesis in the sense it is a conjecture of the possible connections between two phenomena. So hypothesis states the likely relation between different factors affecting the phenomenon under consideration. So suppose you're thinking some problem, then hypothesis is that you will consider some two factors, identify the relation between them related to that particular problem that you have identified in the society. And the third step is the theoretical development of the hypothesis logically. So the hypothesis development as such cannot be, you cannot go onto the world and say something like that. So an economist considers the logical basis and the logical implications of this hypothesis, and this whole process is developed in as an intellectual experiment. So you don't have laboratories or something like that. You have to think properly, logically, and study on your hypothesis and work out and find the solution to the problem which you have identified in the actual world. So the merits of this method, it is a simple method because deduction is an extremely simple method. From a few basic facts of human nature, a number of inferences can be drawn by logical reasoning, and it is useful for complex phenomena. So it is useful in analyzing the complex economic phenomena where cause and effect are inextricably mixed. So you can use this for complex phenomena when you just simply need a cause and an effect for you to understand the hypothesis, formulate, and bring up a theory out of it. And it is a substitute for experimentation. Since economists will not possess a well-placed laboratory to conduct the controlled experiments, he must follow on this deductive method for reasoning, and it is accurate and exact. Most of the times it is more accurate and exact. Coming to the drawbacks, that it requires high competence in logic. You have to be more logical and you have to understand or elaborate that, think properly, and all these things require a lot of attention, and there is a danger of building inapplicable models. So sometimes you'll be thinking certain things which may not practically be applicable. So it has such a kind of thing as well, and harmful use of the models. So the generalizations arrived at by the deductive reasoning become valid only if the assumptions upon which they are based hold good. So if other conditions do not remain the same, the inferences will become invalid. So they can be the harmful use of the models as well. So whatever assumption you're taking, it has to be good, or else all your reasoning and all these things will be of waste processes. So with this, we've completed deductive method. So the next method is the inductive method. So inductive is from particular to general. So here in the deductive method, we have gone from general assumptions from the actual world to some particular theory you want to formulate out of logic and all these things. And here it is from particular to general. So there will be two things in this. First is either you can go on experimentation or you can do it statistically as well. Experimentation, in a sense, it is concerned with actually trying to find out the validity of laws which are made by the deductive methods. So in experimentation, we'll be finding out the validity of these laws made in the deductive method by studying the actual facts. Wherein the statistical method is concerned with framing of the laws and generalizations on the basis of a large number of facts which are collected from various sectors of the economy. So we'll have the framing of laws in the statistical method by collecting the various facts. So the statistical method has much larger field in economic investigation than the method of experimentation. So moving to the merits of inductive method, that it is more realistic because you're studying the actual facts. You're not based on assumptions, so you will go wrong very less times, and there is a possibility of verification. You can verify because you have the actual facts, and you can pay proper attention to the complexities. So this method takes full note of the complex relations found in the actual world and examines them carefully, and there is a dynamic approach. So this method takes into consideration the changes of different times and the changeable nature of assumptions in its analysis, and it is more suitable for economic policies. But the drawbacks are, it is a difficult method because you have to go through all the facts, and it has limited scope of verification as well, because as a study is based on few facts. You just won't go through all the facts you find. You will be taking up certain facts, studying on them and finding out certain things. And there is a danger of bias because you will go to the people whom you know or something like that, and you will only collect a little number of facts. You don't have to go all over the world to collect the facts on a particular thing. And there is a limited use in economics and inadequate for economics, because this method is inadequate for the study of economic problems, because we have to base our conclusions on some well-known observations made by the researchers. So already something is made by the researchers. You will have to go through that, and then only you will make your things. So it is inadequate for economics. So but what we usually do is the integration of the two methods in a scientific way. So which of these two methods is to be used in a particular situation will depend on the nature of the inquiry. So in these two methods, which method you will use will depend on the nature of the inquiry. The deductive method seems to be more suitable when you have pure theory in front of you. Then you will be using the deductive method. When the inductive method is useful for formulating the practical policies. When you wanted to formulate the practical policies, then you will require the inductive method. So based on the nature of inquiry, you will be taking up which method you wanted to go to. So these two methods are complementary. So it is important to remember that these two methods are complementary to each other. They are not competitive, they are complementary. And the economist first starts tentatively with a certain hypothesis based on the deductive reasoning. And then he will take up some facts and he formulates the hypothesis. He continues further checking it on the light of the prevailing situations, and then he makes a law on the basis of the results. So there is an interpenetration of the deduction and the induction methods. So with this, we have completed both the deductive method and the inductive method. Next topic is the economic analysis. So how do we analyze economics? The first one is the micro and the macro analysis, which was first coined by Professor Ragnar Frisch, who was from Oslo University in 1933. So he has given the two terms microeconomics and macroeconomics. Micro in the sense small, macro in the sense large. These both are the Greek words. So microeconomics will deal with individuals, while macroeconomics will deal with broad aggregates, so as a whole. So micro in the sense large, so it will deal with the whole thing. Micro in the sense small, in the sense it will deal with the individuals. It is also known as the price theory, value theory, partial equilibrium analysis. Well, it is also known as aggregate economics, theory of money, income and employment. So in this way, the first one is the micro and the macro analysis. And the second one is the static and the dynamic analysis. Static analysis is where everything is still not changing, while the dynamic analysis is where everything is changing. So it is brought into social science by Auguste Comte, while it is brought into economics by Professor J.S. Mill. The static one, still one, is far from reality, while the dynamic analysis is nearer to reality, because all the things standing still or no conditions unchanged is far from reality. In reality, every day something or the other thing will change. So dynamic analysis is more nearer to reality in comparison to the static analysis. So these two are the economic analysis.